Okay, good evening, everyone. Welcome to our parent presentation this evening on the new middle schools at Mosside. My name is Michael Jack. I'm the current principal of Gateway Middle School. With me this evening are Mrs. Lindsay Love, the current principal at Mosside Middle School, and Mrs. Melissa Cheslock, the assistant principal currently at Gateway Middle School. So we are happy to be with you tonight. As you can imagine, there are a lot of changes happening, we believe for the good, but with change does come a lot of work and a lot of differences that you and your students probably are going to be surprised by in the coming months as we get ready to start the 21-22 school year. So again, the purpose of this evening's meeting is just to allow you kind of some insight as to the planning and preparation that has been going on so far for the new building, as well to allow you to see what your child's schedule will probably look like depending upon the grade level that they are in. And then certainly at the end, we would want to ask for any of your questions or comments at that point. We will do our best to answer as many of these as possible. Obviously, we're not going to pretend to know all of the answers or have all of the answers this evening. But we will do our best to again, either answer them for you to the best of our ability or get back to you at some point with an answer. Today, you are able to put your questions or comments in the chat feature. I know Mrs. Cheslock, I believe Mrs. Love as well, will be checking that throughout the evening and trying to get back to you. And again, at the end, we'll try to keep some time for questions as well. So the reason that we are here this evening is the pictures that you see in front of us. About a month and a half ago, our director of school boards at Gateway approved a renovation project for the new Gateway Middle School. And you could see some of the renderings of the new middle school that we are looking forward to opening, hopefully in 2 school years from now. So again, a beautiful new school, beautiful new facilities for all of our students and families, hopefully to enjoy. But obviously to get to that point, it was the safest and probably most prudent thing to do to shift our students to another building while this current building at Gateway Middle School is being remodeled and renovated. So for the next 2 years, we are going to be located at Mosside Middle School. Now, I know going to a new school building and more than that, including 5th and 6th graders with 7th and 8th graders is a little bit daunting, actually probably a little bit anxiety filled for some of our parents. So I do want to assure you that there were thoughts that went into this, obviously by our director of school boards, by our central administration, and then by the 3 administrators that are currently with you this evening. And some of the great advantages we believe to putting together 5th through 8th grade is, believe it or not, the adolescent growth and development features that are going on in that age range, anywhere from ages 10 to about 15, actually makes those students the most alike of basically any school that is currently open in our district. So if you think about it, if you have a kindergartner that goes to or is 5 years old that goes to an elementary school, and then you have a 4th grader that's 11 years old, that's a pretty big difference, pretty big age range, obviously, and they've been existing or coexisting for quite some time. So hopefully at the new middle school, the fact that our new 5th graders might only be 11 or 12 years old, actually they're going to be a lot more alike, a lot more similar to our 8th graders than what you might believe. What it will also do is it will offer a wider range or allow us to offer a wider range of curricular opportunities. Right now, we have a pretty set curriculum in the 5th and 6th grade building, as well as the 7th and 8th grade building. So hopefully by combining those curriculums and by combining those staffs, we're going to be able to offer a wider range of those opportunities for each and every student. And again, we'll talk a little bit about the scheduling here soon. Probably one of the most important reasons for combining 5th and 6th grades together with 7th and 8th grade in this new middle school model is to reduce the number of transitions. State data shows us year in and year out that every year a student goes through a transition, test scores, data, they seem to drop. And it was no different here at Gateway. So when we would have students transition from fourth to fifth, and then transition from, eighth to the high school, or I'm sorry, from sixth to seventh, and then eighth to the high school, we had obviously 3 transitions there. So hopefully with this new model, we're going to be able to limit those transitions and hopefully allow for a smoother journey for your students' path in education here at Gateway. And then finally, just having one middle school philosophy. I know the 5th and 6th grade building has kind of their own little niche because of the age of students. And at the 7th and 8th grade building, we do as well. So we're hoping with that one middle school philosophy, it's going to provide that consistency that the elementary buildings provide right now as a K through 4 model, as well as what the high school provides in a 9 through 12 model. If we're going to be able to have those same students for 4 years consistently, I think they're going to be able to learn kind of the philosophy, the rules and procedures and everything that goes with, being in a school and hopefully having pride in that school. So again, there are some advantages, we believe, to this new middle school model that we're going to try to exploit, in August when we open up. So as I had mentioned before, the next 2 years we are going to be spending at Moss Side Middle School. All Gateway students in grades 5 through 8 will be attending this building. We are mindful that we will have different ages of students and that we will have a wider range of those ages when we get to Moss Side Middle School. So the configuration that we're currently putting together is establishing kind of pods or pockets within the building that are based upon grade level and then even narrowed down to department level. So basically what that means is our 8th grade students will be kind of housed together. Our 7th grade students will be housed very close together, 6th grade and 5th grade, and we will try to keep them as separated as possible throughout the buildings, just so that they, again, could enjoy the experiences with their like-age peers while still getting the middle school experience. Now, as most of you know, because everybody has gone through Moss Side Middle School already or is currently there, Moss Side Middle School currently as it exists cannot fit all of our 5th through 8th graders. So there are going to be portable classrooms that will be utilized that will provide more space for us. We're calling them portable classrooms because I think the connotation every time we hear that, we want to go to the word trailer. And believe me when I tell you, I think once we showed some of the teachers and once our board and some people saw some of these portable classrooms, we've actually had people asking to actually be in them, like to not be in the building. They are going to be temperature controlled, et cetera. And they provide just as much space within a classroom as our regular classroom within Moss Side Middle. As well, please understand that these units will actually attach together. So there will be a hallway, there will be classrooms on either side. So it's not just a door on the end of a trailer where students kind of come in and go out of. This is going to be, basically it's going to look, for those of you that are familiar with the upstairs at Moss Side Middle School as it currently exists. Again, to try to keep students separated by grade levels and by age, we will have lunches that will be separated by that grade level. And current programs and courses will be available for all students. So again, hopefully those students that need to be enriched and pushed forward, we're going to be able to provide that through the staffing and the programs that we have. Those students that will need a little bit of extra help or support, again, we're going to have the staff in the classes to support those students as well.
Mr. Jack, sorry to interrupt you. One of the
please.
questions,
Yes.
and I can't remember the answer, but how many portable classrooms will there be?
Oh, that's, you know what, that was an awesome question because we just made it to the next slide here. There are actually going to be 10 portable classrooms. So what that will look like, and again, what you're looking at on your screen right now is kind of the sky view of Moss Side Middle School. So again, here is the main entrance, right where it says Moss Side Middle School, you can see the main entrance. The roof that has the white top to it is where our gymnasium and some of our special area classes are currently housed in the 5-6 building, and where they will be continued to be housed next year as we start the new middle school. And then this red rectangle that obviously I just physically put into the picture is where those portable classrooms will exist. So there are going to be 5 portable trailers that will attach to each other. Again, if you can imagine, in the middle of this red rectangle lengthwise, there will be a hallway that goes down the center of it. 5 classrooms will be to the left of it. 5 classrooms will be to the right of it. Each classroom will have a physical capacity of 30 students. So as I had mentioned before, basically just like any classroom that's currently in the building at Mosside, those classrooms will be extremely similar. There will be an enclosed walkway, so we will have an outside exit, outside doors that go right into an enclosed walkway. So students will not need or ever have to go outside to get from the building itself to these portable classrooms. So it will be completely, again, shut in and protected from any of the weather. All safety systems that exist within Mosside Middle School will also be connected to and exist within these portable classrooms. Obviously, in 2021, those portable classrooms take into account all of those safety features. So we're able to hook up directly into, again, the existing features at Mosside to make sure that those students that are in the portable classrooms have the safety and security that our students have within the building itself. And probably most important to some of our students and truthfully our teachers is the portable classrooms will be temperature controlled at all times. So they will have both air conditioning and heating systems that will maintain a temperate condition in those classrooms. So again, just some of the features for those portable classrooms. We hope as the summer progresses to have some pictures for you. And then obviously, once the portable classrooms are put into place, we will have an opportunity, again, in the summer for everybody to come in, complete a building orientation, whether you're familiar with the building or not, so that you can see some of the changes that we're making. And again, just where everybody is going to be at Mosside. So again, I do see the chat room. I see the number kind of growing. I don't know, Mrs. Cheslock, do you want me to slow down at this point, or are we okay to continue?
Sorry, I had myself on mute. So a couple things I didn't get to. I know a parent had asked about the sports, track, soccer, the football fields, etc. Sports will continue to go on. From my understanding, we will be able to use other facilities in the district. The high school, we will be working with the athletic director to make sure the scheduling of that is appropriate, and we don't kind of collide with other teams in sports. But the specifics of that would come from the athletic director. Mrs. Benson asked, will lunches be in the cafeteria? Yes, they will. How will all the extra students be accommodated? Mrs. Love, I'm going to pass that to you because I don't know the size of the cafeteria, but I know last time we chatted, I believe we can accommodate all the kids in the lunchroom.
Yes, we're going to change the tables in the cafeteria and the configuration so that we can fit the longer tables in as opposed to all the round tables. So that will accommodate more students. And I believe we looked, Mr. Jack, when we walked through, there was
270.
Yeah, that can fit into the, that the cafeteria is able to accommodate at one time. So it will comfortably accommodate each grade level.
And again, we are going to be the first ones to admit, at this point, these next 2 years, we are going to be prepared. The students are going to have a great experience, but we're not naive to not realize that it is going to be tight. Again, what's available to us, the space that's available, even with adding these portable classrooms, we understand that, we're also adding twice as many students that are currently in the building right now. So there are going to be some times in the hallways where, like I said, where it is a little bit tighter than we would probably, like at any other normal time. Likewise, in the cafeteria, we expect the same. We do have 2 serving lines, so that's going to help get students through to make sure that everybody has enough time when they are eating. But again, we expect the lunchrooms to be to be at full capacity, and we also expect, fortunately or unfortunately, we expect it to be a little bit loud as well.
So there were 2 questions in the chat, and then I'll kind of let you go on with the presentation, Mr. Jack, regarding safety measures and security.
Mhm.
So, as of right now, each building has an SRO. So we are looking for 2 SROs in the building. With safety and security, we are looking at increasing a social worker in the building as well as counselors in the building, in just monitoring the hallways, with teacher presence and things of that nature.
We are mindful too that the students that are in the portable classrooms, obviously when they're coming into the building to go to some of their special area, their elective classes, there is going to be an SRO stationed at that point, because again, we want to maintain, even though there will be an enclosed walkway, we want to maintain all security measures to make sure that our students are being able to travel safely throughout throughout the building, and again into those portable classrooms as well.
Mr. Jack, I'm going to let you continue. As you guys put your questions into the chat, Mrs. Love and I will try to answer them for you. And I can stop Mr. Jack during the presentation as well if we get a cluster of questions.
So a little bit about the new middle school, just the philosophy that I believe not only our district at a district level, but also again, Mrs. Cheslock and Mrs. Love and I really want our staff to buy into, really want our students to buy into, and truthfully, we want to make sure that the parents buy into this as well. We want to make sure that because we're coming together as a grades 5 through 8 middle school, that we are indeed one middle school. There's no denying that Mossad Middle School has many strengths. I would venture to say that Gateway Middle School also has many strengths as well. So what we want to do is we want to be able to capitalize on both buildings and what they do well, and make sure that we have one identity, one middle school, one school philosophy that I already spoke about, where students can take pride in one building. Certainly there are going to be things that are more appropriate for our 5th and 6th graders, and there are going to be some things that are more appropriate for our 7th and 8th graders. And that doesn't mean that we can't divide them for certain activities or certain assemblies, again, depending on the subject, or the topic of that particular event. But when we go into the middle school, again, we want to think of it as one middle school, because that is how it is going to be treated. To kind of reinforce that point, we are going to be on one bell schedule. So whether you're in 5th, 6th, 7th, or 8th grade, you will be moving at the sounds of the bells. There will be one bell schedule. Hopefully it'll be a little bit easier for students, because again, they're all going to be moving kind of at the same time and in the same area. We are going to have one program of studies with content pathways. So basically what that means is hopefully there'll be an easier and smoother transition to go from 5th grade math to 6th grade math to 7th grade to 8th grade math. And likewise throughout the different content areas that we obviously will offer to all of our students. So I believe this will be something too that should provide a smooth transition for us at the building level, but also for the students to kind of, again, be comfortable, know what to expect in the coming years. Likewise for our teachers to be able to teach in a manner that they know exactly what the teachers also in their building, maybe teaching next to them, will expect students to have a knowledge of from one grade level to the next. And then again, we really want to capitalize on one department-based approach. Thankfully, Mrs. Cheslock has an she's extremely strong in the area of special education. Mrs. Love is extremely strong in the area of English language arts. And I believe that I can offer a lot to our math department as well. So what we want to do is we want to make sure that we capitalize on our strengths as well, and make sure that, again, we're looking at a 5 through 8 approach with our math department, our ELA department, our special ed department, likewise our history and social studies department and our science department, et cetera. We want to look at it as department bases and maybe not so much as grade 5 and grade 6 and grade 7, even though the students will still be separated physically within the building amongst those grades. I think we're going to be able to grow as a building and help our students achieve more if we're focused more on that department-based approach. So again, along the lines of this one building, one team, we want to look at it as an administrative team. So the three of us that are with you this evening, again, as I'd already stated, we're going to look at it from a department-focused responsibilities. So instead of necessarily going forth with a grade 5, 6 principal or a grade 7, 8 principal, we want to be able to tackle the responsibilities of the department focused, and also be able to basically learn every student in the building, to get to know every student in the building. So any type of academic concern that comes up, any discipline issues that may arise, any meetings that we would have with you, we want to be able to interchange, so that if it's a 5th grade meeting, I should be able to sit in it, know the student, know the parents, know the concerns going into it. Likewise, if it's an 8th grade meeting, all of us should be able to speak at that meeting and feel comfortable with not only the student, but the grade level and the issues at hand. And Mrs. Cheslock made mention, I believe, of this as well, but we're looking at a school counseling team that's going to be 4 individuals strong. Again, we will assign a grade level just for touch points, so that parents will have a touch point person within the counseling department if they call in. But we want, again, the same from our school counseling team. We want it to be a team approach where, again, they have task-focused responsibilities. So we want to, give them tasks that they already have strengths that they can build on and hopefully grow our building a little bit further along. As well, we want them to make sure that they know the students in the building. So again, we will assign a grade for parent communication, but if there's an academic concern, a discipline concern, anything else that you may have or that the student may have, any of the 4 counselors should be able to speak to that and should be able to help, equally as well. And then again, we are looking to provide a social worker for our building. As we know, over the last 14 plus months, the pandemic has created many challenges, I think, for all of us. And we are extremely mindful of the need of this social emotional learning piece that we want to definitely focus on as we kick off the year, because again, I think students as well as probably staff and probably speaking for the 3 of us as well, this has been unprecedented, and it's been a difficult journey for us these last 14 months. And we're not going to pretend that just because, masks might go away or, we might be vaccinated by that time, there's still going to be a lot of scars that are left, for our students, our staff, and us as well. So we want to make sure that we're providing as much support as possible for everyone. So again, we can focus on, the task at hand, which is making sure all of our students, learn and grow.
Mr. Jack, I'm going to interrupt you again because there are some questions focusing around that. A few people had asked, is this a permanent move? Yes, we will be a 5 through 8 building starting next year with the physical location at Mosside Middle School. And once the new building is designed, we will be moving up there as a 5 through 8 building. Sorry, I'm flipping through the chats. I think Mr. Jack touched upon the question about SEL support. Is the counseling team implementing restorative practice mediation? Yes, that's definitely something on the docket, as Mr. Jack had mentioned about administration having areas of expertise. So will the counselors. That's something that we are definitely focusing on. As well as school-wide, our student assistance program, making sure, students have the proper accommodations, but SEL is definitely a huge component of it. And then Mrs. Love had mentioned there were some comments about integrating the SROs into the classrooms to do lessons. That's definitely a great idea. Thank you for bringing that up, whoever questioned that. That is something we could definitely put on a list of things to do and what classrooms that would happen in.
I think there's a lot of questions about the busing. Are the students all going to be bused together? I believe at this time the answer is yes.
They will be. The busing will be 5 through 8. Obviously, buses will need to be added though. So I know some of the bus routes that I think that everybody has gotten used to probably will be changed a slight degree because again, with more students, we'll bring more busing that will be needed. So again, yes, there will be 5th through 8th graders will be together on the bus. However, like I said, be mindful that it's going to be a lot more neighborhood based and area based because of the number of students that will be coming to the building.
There's also a couple questions about counselors following the same grade level as the students change grades.
You know what, I will be honest with you. We have discussed that as an administrative team. We've discussed it a little bit with our counselors. We've been trying to weigh out the pros and cons, and truthfully, at this point, I don't feel comfortable probably answering that. I think there are a lot of benefits to it because they really, much like the high school, will get to know the students extremely well. That said, we want to make sure that our counselors and everybody gets to know all of our students. So we also don't want that to be, we want that comfort level, but we don't necessarily, just want them to know that grade level and that grade level only. So again, that's going to be something that we'll probably have to share out at our orientation meetings a little bit later in the summer. And I apologize, but I don't want to give you an answer now that might change, within the coming weeks.
And then I'll just answer kind of the last question and then let Mr. Jack move on, and then we'll stop again for any questions that come up. There was a question about vaccinations being mandated. At this time, we would have to get back to you. At this time, I do not believe that is something that is mandated, but I don't know if that is going to change. That's something with the state of Pennsylvania. So to answer the question, at this time, the COVID vaccination is not mandated for students. We will have to see what the state puts out. Sorry, go ahead, Mr. Jack.
All right. Okay, so scheduling for the new middle school, the building will operate on a 9-period-a-day bell schedule. So what that will look like specifically to our students, the large majority of our students will have double periods of both math and ELA. Students will have 1 single period of science and then also 1 single period of social studies. They will have 2 periods of electives at each grade level. And again, we can be a little bit more, give you a little better example of that in the coming slides. All grade levels will have predetermined elective classes, just because we want to make sure that we give all of our students the same types of experiences and a wide variety, hopefully, of experiences. So with the exception of music, we do have students taking the same electives that are predetermined in each grade level. And all of our lunch periods will be 30 minutes in length. So I don't believe that's changing too much. But again, that's something that will hopefully be able to fit into the schedule. This will give you an idea of what the bell schedule will look like. Again, subject to change, probably a minute or two, throughout the periods. But as of right now, this is the bell schedule that we are going to be able to roll with in August when we open. Bus arrivals will, as you can see, be from 7:40 to 8:05. There will be a warning bell that will ring at 8:08. And then you can see the homeroom periods will be from 8:10 to 8:16. And then as you see throughout the schedule, students will have 3 minutes to move from class to class. Again, please be mindful of the fact that we are keeping grade levels close to each other or compacted within the building. So a 3-minute move should be plenty of time for students to get from classroom to classroom. However, again, like I told you earlier, these are things that we are planning for and have set up for currently for the new building, but we are not going to say that there aren't going to be changes and tweaks that need to be made, as we see, how this works once we open. You can see the areas that have the multicolors in place. There are going to be lunch periods that kind of play off of one another. So 5th grade, we eat lunch first for 30 minutes as 6th, 7th, and 8th grade have a normal 4th period class. And then that switches. 6th grade will actually eat lunch, then 5th period, while 5th grade goes to a normal period 5, and then they will get back on the same schedule for the rest of the day. Likewise, this will happen in 7th and 8th grade. It'll just happen during periods 6 and 7. Now, again, here's a sample schedule of what your child's schedule might look like next year. And I say might look like, these are all the classes or courses that they are going to be taking. When I say might, obviously the order of the classes are the part that is still, that will still change for each and every student. So again, if you're looking at 5th grade, as we had talked about before, there are 2 periods of ELA, 2 periods of math, a period each of social studies and science, obviously a 30-minute lunch that will be during 4th period, and then 2 elective classes. One of the elective classes will be a mandatory rotation of PE, music, art, and technology. And then the other elective class will depend upon that music choice that we had talked about earlier. So in 5th grade, each student can choose to take either band or orchestra. And if they do not want to take band or orchestra, then they will receive an academic advisory period. So an academic advisory period, for some, they think of it as a study hall. And in some cases, it will be or allow your child the opportunity to get some work done throughout the course of the day. However, that academic advisory period as well, we want to utilize or be able to utilize for capturing some learning that might not have occurred, this year because of the different learning environments and options that we had available, and just some of the situations that obviously we ran into this year with the pandemic. So again, we want to provide that time for our students to hopefully provide some, individualized or small group instruction potentially for them as well. And I won't go through every single grade level. I know you can see the screen as well as I can, but as you could see, as we move through the grade levels, there are some of the course offerings. The course offerings in yellow are the mandatory offerings or electives that your child will definitively have per each grade level. And then those offerings that are in orange, again, those are opposite music classes. So if your child chooses band or orchestra, or if they choose choir in 6th, 7th, or 8th grade, then that will be their elective for the entire year. If they do not choose a specific music, then those 4 classes that you see below in orange will be their second elective rotation. Something that's going to be a little bit different, definitely to our students that are currently at Mosside, is the electives will be for 1 quarter or 1 9-week period. So I know that you're used to running on a 5-day-a-week schedule. In the new schedule with a new building, that won't be the case. So for example, you will have physical education all 5 days a week for perhaps the first 9 weeks. and then you will move on from physical education and go to another class that is in that particular elective rotation. Just to give you a little idea of the content pathways, we did talk about our English language arts classes being double periods. And again, we want to make sure that we put an emphasis on English language arts, extremely important, obviously content area. And because we're looking at English language arts as one subject, even though we're pulling in reading and writing and grammar underneath this umbrella, that's pretty much the reason that we're giving 2 periods for each of these classes. Now, in 5th grade, every student will be taking ELA 5. When they move on to 6th grade, they will either take ELA 6 or ELA 6A. The difference between those 2 classes, ELA 6A is a little bit more advanced, and advanced particularly just in the students will be a little bit more enriched in some of the content areas. So some of the novels that they may read might just be slightly higher level than those that are in ELA 6. They still address all of the 6th grade standards, but like I said, we want to be able to push some of our students that are ready to be pushed and that can be successful in some of these enrichment classes. Likewise, when you're moving from ELA 6 or 6A, there are 2 options in 7th grade, 7 and 7A. And again, just because you're in ELA 6 does not mean that you can't go to ELA 7A or vice versa. Just because you are in an advanced class in 6th grade doesn't mean that you can't go back to just ELA 7. We want to be as flexible as possible to make sure that we're meeting, each and every student at their, appropriate academic level. Once we get to 8th grade, again, we have ELA 8 and then ELA 8A. Here's the only difference. ELA 8A is actually only 1 period. It is not a double period. And the reason that we do that, any student that is in or recommended for ELA 8A will also be able to take Spanish 1. Now, this is a great experience that we're going to be able to offer those students. However, please understand that unfortunately, because we're at the middle school level, Spanish 1, although it is taught the same exact way that it is taught at the high school, students cannot receive high school credit for that particular course because it is still offered at the middle school level.
Mr. Jack, there's a couple questions about when are students going to be picking their electives for next year, and also how is it going to be decided who can move into one of the enriched courses?
Sure. As far as picking electives, we are going to get that paperwork out within hopefully the next week to you. Again, the only elective that will really need chosen this year will be the music courses. So you're either going to choose, again, a music specialty, band, choir, or orchestra, or you're going to be able to just choose that secondary or the exploratory rotation of electives. So again, you will be able to choose, like I said, that or have that one choice or that one option, and that'll be something that we'll be doing, like I said, probably within the next week. And I'm sorry, Mrs. Love, you said the other question was?
I'm sorry. How will it be determined who can take an enriched course? And then another question that went along with that was, can a student move from a regular course to an advanced course after the year has started?
Yes. Yeah. Like I said, with these offerings, what we want to create is flexibility. We understand that most of the data points that we normally would have at the end of a school year for each student, we have some, but probably not nearly as many as we normally would have in a course of a normal school year, unlike the one we were just or that we're just finishing. I will say that we are still looking at some of the data that is available to us. We certainly are looking at teacher recommendations. But again, we want to be as flexible as possible with, what we're offering. So if we have, a student that is recommended for ELA 7, but that teacher notices within the first couple of weeks that they could, that student could benefit from an extra, that extra enrichment or extra challenge that the course will provide, then certainly we'll do that. And then likewise, we want to be able to do the opposite as well. Again, we want to meet the students and make sure that they're growing properly within the particular course that they're in. So we want to make sure that again, we're giving them every opportunity to succeed at the level that that they should be at. So we will be extremely flexible, like I said, with not only course placements but how we move them throughout the year.
There was a question too, and I can answer this. Is enriched classes different from gifted? Yes. The gifted classes are something a student has to qualify and complete an evaluation for a GIEP. The enriched or advanced courses are kids that are surpassing grade level expectations. Children do not have to have a GIEP to go into the enriched or the advanced.
And likewise, I would add to that not every child that has a GIEP should necessarily be in every advanced class as well. Again, every student's going to have strengths and areas that they need to grow in. And we just want to be mindful of that. It kind of goes back to what we were talking about. One of the advantages of having this 5 through 8 model, this middle school, is the fact that we have that flexibility within our curriculum because we have teachers and different courses that kind of will account for all of the different levels of our students. So again, math works pretty much the same as I explained ELA. You could see that there are a couple extra offerings as we get to 7th and 8th grade. But again, that flexibility to move from Math 6 to Math 6A or vice versa is certainly there. The flexibility to go from Math 7 to Math 7A is there. The Algebra 1 flexibility, I will say that we want to be able to put students in Algebra 1 that are certainly ready for it or ready for that challenge. But please understand that from an Algebra 1 standpoint, the state considers that, a 9th grade class or course. And with that Algebra 1 course comes a Keystone exam, which is, a mandatory exam that the state gives and is going to start requiring as of 2022, I believe, every student will need to pass their Keystone 1 algebra exam to be able to graduate from high school. So again, it's not that we don't want to provide those experiences, but we do want to be a little bit careful with Algebra 1 because we can't just quite as flexibly move back and forth, in and out of that particular course, just based off of, like I said, some of those state requirements that we have to abide by. Again, the mandatory elective rotation, these are the classes that every 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade student will receive, regardless of, again, anything else that they are choosing. Please do not get confused. In 5th grade, there is a general music that all 5th grade students will be taking. So this is not an elective class. This is a class that every 5th grader will get. Again, the music classes that we were specifically talking about would be choir, orchestra, and band. That will be, elective classes that again, each student can opt into if they would like. So I know I've already said this before, but each elective class, again, is 1 grading period. So it will be 9 weeks in length. So they will be in different orders, but every student will have each one of these classes based off of what grade they're currently in.
Mr. Jack, I'm going to stop you again just because we have some questions coming up about classes. I know there were some questions about speech therapy, occupational therapy, and special education students. For parents or individuals that ask those questions, if possible, my email will be provided at the end of the presentation. I would encourage to reach out through an email or a phone call because those are individualized plans, scheduling, creative scheduling, and we could talk more specifically about your your specific child and the concerns and needs. Someone did ask when a list of the administration, teachers, and things of that nature would be up. We are your administrators. We're here regarding the teachers and the specific classes. I know we're still tying things up with staffing, so those will be listed, but we are not prepared for that at this point. A question asked about the gifted program with Mr. Kunkel and Miss Piacenti. You know, right now we are looking at those teachers pushing into classrooms more, obviously providing competitions and the services they currently do. And yes, we are looking forward to them teaming up a bit and working well together. Sorry. And then I'm sorry, someone asked this twice. What grade will be in the portable classrooms? Mr. Jack, do you want to answer that?
Yes. At this time, we are going to be putting our fifth graders in the portable classrooms. Again, that's going to be twofold. We thought that that would create kind of a little bit more of a community environment if we have fifth grade kind of together and building kind of that team approach. We were hoping that that would, again, allow them to feel a little bit more comfortable within their surroundings and around students that they recognize. Because again, we recognize, although we have eliminated one transition, the transition that we certainly, you know, haven't eliminated is fourth grade going to fifth grade. So because it's going to be a new experience for our fifth grade students coming in, that's something that we wanted to, like I said, hopefully provide them the opportunity to kind of get to know one another and be in their own little community, as well as then be a part of our, you know, our larger Moss Side, you know, middle school community as well.
Mr. Jack, one of the questions was about with the rotations and the electives.
Yes.
Will students be traveling together as a homeroom, or will they be different? How do they travel from class to class?
They will be traveling differently. They will not be traveling by homeroom. So again, it will be, you know, they will have their own schedule. They will see, chances are they will see different students in each and every one of their classes. Now the rotation itself, there will probably be a lot of similar students in each rotation that they'll see. But yeah, they'll be traveling, like I said, as an individual student to those classes, not necessarily as a homeroom. Now we do understand that, you know, again, for our fifth and sixth grade students right now, they do change classes, but they change classes, you know, on a much more limited basis. You know, there are only 3 teachers, I believe in one case 4 teachers for a particular team. So again, they're going to have a little bit more travel time. Certainly at the beginning, we're going to have teachers available and staff members available for support, kind of moving or helping to move some of our students. But again, that was one of the reasons that we wanted to keep the grade levels close to one another within the building, and even those department levels, to make it a little bit more simple for our students to make those moves, especially because, again, it is going to be new for a majority of the students.
And along the lines of traveling, there's been several questions about lockers. Are students going to be permitted to use lockers? And are they going to be traveling again as a class, or will they be stopping at their locker and switching classes that way?
They will be using lockers. There will be enough lockers for every student, you know, within the new building. So yes, they will have their own locker. That, again, during our orientation, we'll talk more about logistics of those, but every locker, you know, every student will get a lock. We would strongly recommend that those locks are used, you know, each day. They will have a locker right outside of their homeroom period, which for the vast majority of students, I would say probably 98% of those students, their homeroom will also be their first period class. Again, so that we're eliminating transition time and move time within the building. So yes, the lockers will be right outside of their homeroom class. And there will be specific times that they're allowed to go to their lockers. So we're not going to, or we don't permit students to go to their lockers, you know, after each period. but we certainly permit them to go in the morning, both before and after lunch, and then at the end of the day. So what that will provide is, because we have the different lunch periods and those times are separated, that will allow one grade level to be out at their lockers without the other students moving through the hallways.
I know there were questions about the mandatory rotations. Will the entire grade have the same electives per 9 weeks? So all of 6th grade will not have art the first 9 weeks, facts the second 9 weeks, or whatever the rotation is. They will be mixed through the different electives. So some students may have art, some students may have another elective during the first 9 weeks. So, but if you have siblings in the same grade, please let us know. Again, that's an individual conversation we can have at looking at tailoring your child's schedule.
The exploratory elective rotation, again, this is the rotation that is opposite our music options. So not every 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade student will have this particular elective rotation. It will depend upon, again, whether they choose to do a music performance class, again, such as band, orchestra, or choir. So I already addressed the academic advisory periods and what those look like. Again, we wanted to make sure that our 5th and 6th grade students, because we are moving to a little bit more of a middle school approach, and we were used to having, our 5th and 6th grade students still being kind of our upper intermediate or our upper elementary students. We wanted to give them that time and provide that time for support. So that is the current reason that we have academic advisory for both of those grade levels during this elective rotation. And then you could see throughout grade 7 and 8, if your child is not or does not pick a music option, then again, they will rotate through these 4 options in grade 7, and then obviously through the same 4 options that you can see there in grade 8. Again, these elective rotations are 9 weeks in length. So after a 9-week period, having this elective for each day, then those students or that class will end and they will move on to another exploratory elective rotation class. And then our music course options. Please understand that each music course option is a full year class. So it is not something that, it's not a rotation, it's not a 9 weeks. This is something that your child will do for the course of the entire school year if they choose one of these music course options. Please understand as well that if, again, they choose this music course option, they will not have the exploratory elective rotation. So that is something that they want to be mindful of when they're making this decision. And again, we wanted to include here, we will try to be as flexible as possible with the schedule, but please understand that, we want a student that commits to this music option to stay in that music option for the course of the school year. Again, as you can imagine, because of staffing and because the movement of different classes, it's extremely difficult to have students, try to move in and out of these types of classes because it will provide or present overcrowding issues for us and potential staffing issues if we have everything staffed appropriately and scheduled appropriately at the beginning of the year. And then we have, students trying to jump from, one option to the next. So although we want to be extremely flexible with our academic classes, our maths and ELAs, we do want to be a little bit more stringent with our electives and music course options. So again, please make sure that when you are sitting down and having this discussion with your student, that this is something, if they do want to do a music, that they want to be committed to it, at least for the year. Give it a try. Obviously, from year to year, they can change, their option. If they don't like, a certain option that they chose, they can certainly, choose something different within the field of music or just try an exploratory option the following year.
Are students permitted to take more than one of those musics at one time?
They are permitted to do so, but again, we want to try to limit this because again, this is a full year class. So this class meets every day. So do we currently have students that are taking multiple music courses? Yes, we probably have about a handful of those students right now in the 7th and 8th grade building. I will tell you that we don't want to squash, a love of music, but at the same time, each of our teachers are teaching a course because that's obviously what they're certified to do. And more than that, that's what they love to do. So it does become a little bit difficult to, to manage students when they're only there half the time. But certainly if that's something that your child feels very strongly about, that's something that I would hope that you would reach out to either, Mrs. Love or Mrs. Cheslock or myself. And certainly we can look at that option.
There's a question about for 7th and 8th grade, the second, oh, sorry, just disappeared. The second math section, how will it be determined which component the child has, math, lab, academic advisory, or robotics? So students in the advanced or rich course, that's a singleton math class. So the second period of their math class would be robotics. So it would be dependent on if they were in the rich class, that's who would have the robotics class. Someone asked if this is something, I'm sorry. Is this something Gateway has done for the middle school or is this new? This is something that has been currently going on in the 7th and 8th grade building. We've made a few tweaks with electives, but the system of mandatory rotations, elective rotations versus the musics, that's not a new concept.
And again, the reason that we want to provide all of these options, we realize that not every student is going to, to love every single rotation that they take or every elective course. But again, that middle school philosophy, we want to make sure that we're giving students as many experiences as possible, because what we want to be able to do is when they do transition from 8th grade to the high school, we want them to have a better idea of kind of what they like, what they enjoy, what they feel they're good at. Because again, once they get to the high school, then becomes the focus on, hopefully what they want to do post high school. So our job, we feel within the middle school, is to give them as many experiences as we possibly can. Hopefully, have them find something that they love to do, or, have a content area that they just really, really excel at. And then hopefully pursue that, even further once they get to the high school level.
Mr. Jack, can you go back to the other elective slide for grades
Yes.
5 through 8, the non-music ones?
The exploratory?
I'm not sure. Someone just requested to show the non-music 5 to 8 slide with the electives.
Mm-hmm. This is the one that is opposite the music option. So
I believe that was the right one.
Is that the one?
So another question was if someone already expressed an interest in, if a 6th grade student expressed an interest in chorus, but is now realizing that they may want to take some of the exploratory electives, is it too late to change?
Absolutely not. Again, we wanted our teachers to kind of reach out. We obviously want them to, to be excited about their programs and sell their programs, because again, we think that we're going to put together, a phenomenal staff that is passionate about what they do. But at the end of the day, we understand that we have 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade students that we want to take into account what they want, but you're their parent, so we want it to be, we want it to be a collaborative decision between, both parent and student as to what they take. So if they signed up for something or they told a teacher that, yeah, this is what I want to do next year, that's fine. We were trying to gauge some interest and get an idea of how many students that we might have in each particular class or rotation. But ultimately, what we had talked about a little bit earlier, where students will be scheduling, where they'll get an option to choose either a music option or the elective rotation, the exploratory elective rotation. That's something that we're obviously going to abide by that, because that's going to be, a piece where, where the parent is going to be able to sign off on that choice as well.
Just a reminder to, I'm sorry, just a reminder, parents, we are recording this. So if you did miss anything, if you missed any of the slides, please feel free. You'll be able to view it on the website. We will upload it. Any questions that we don't get to, we are saving the chat as well. Your names are on here so we can reach out. And again, at the end of the presentation, all of our contact information will be there. So if we didn't answer something or didn't answer it clearly, feel free to reach out at any time to any one of us.
No, we did determine, or we did put this slide into the presentation, mainly because we wanted to share with you basically what we shared with our staffs when we first brought them together, both the Mossad Middle School staff and the Gateway Middle School staff back in March. And again, this is, this is a daunting task. It's something that we believe that we're prepared for and will continue to prepare for throughout the summer. But we know that in order to be successful, we know that a lot of it is going to be attitude. And that starts at the very top. That starts with the three of us that are presenting, to you today. We need to keep a positive attitude, that idea of growth mindset, for those of you that are familiar with Carol Dweck and some of her research. But we shared this with our teachers and staff because we want them to have this growth mindset attitude. And we also wanted to share this with you as well, because we know there are going to be challenges, but we want to make sure that we embrace those challenges. We know that there are certainly going to be obstacles, but we want to make sure that we persist through those, okay? Because right now, the options that we have in front of us are to make sure that we're successful, because the future of not only your child, but every student that comes through this Mossad Middle School grade 5 through 8 building, depends on. And then we want to make sure that we grow from failures, because again, we are not sitting here in front of you telling you today that we have all the answers. We are not going to tell you that there is not something that will go wrong, that we'll need to tweak, to change, to fix. And again, we're not above making mistakes. We just want you to be open to the possibilities that we're going to make some of those mistakes, but we're also going to grow from them. And we're going to make sure that again, we make this experience, again, focusing on the students, the best possible experience that they can have. I did, and again, I hate to read these slides to you so you can read the quote from Socrates, but I think this is extremely important in what we're setting out to do now, because we may love the old because the old is comfortable. And like I had stated before, I think the old has a lot of positives. Mossad Middle School is not losing its identity because it's not successful. And Gateway Middle School is not losing its identity because it wasn't successful. But I think bringing those two buildings together is going to create a wonderful success, and more successes to come. And again, if we're focusing our energy on that, then I don't see a way that we can fail. We do have a lot more information to come. Please understand that we just wanted to provide an opportunity to meet with everybody, because obviously we know that information is getting out to the parents and the students, and we wanted to try to be as transparent as possible with this move. So some of the important dates that are coming up, actually on June 14th will be our first official day in Mossad. So Mrs. Love, Mrs. Cheslock, and myself, as well as the counselors and our secretaries, will be at Mossad Middle School building starting on June 14th. And again, we will be there for the course of hopefully the next 2 years. The week of August 16th, we will be scheduling building orientations. Normally, we would just do orientations for new students, but we understand that, again, even though most of our students have been through this building at some point, especially our incoming sixth, seventh, and eighth grade students, there are going to be some changes, obviously, where classrooms are located, where some classes are located. So we want to give everybody that opportunity. So we'll be scheduling orientations for all students during this week. Our first day of school right now is slated for August 26th. So again, a date that seems far away, but as you know, things will come up on us pretty quickly. Summers usually go fast. So so this date is the date that we'll be prepared to welcome all of our students to our new building. And then I apologize, the dates here, there's a typo on here. The open house for grades 5 and 6 will actually be September 29th. And then the open house for grades 7 and 8 will be September 30th. And again, we split the open houses by grade level just to accommodate for parking. And we want to make sure that parents and anybody that comes to the open house, is able to move through the building freely and comfortably at that time. Again, these are just some important dates that are showing up on our calendar right now. We will be communicating with you throughout the summer. I cannot stress enough how important it is. If you do not have an updated email address with us, either at Moss-Side or Gateway Middle School, please call the secretary, call the main office over the next week or so and get that, that email address set up in our system, in our Skyward system, so that you're getting any and all notices that we are sending and any communication that we send out to you. That will be, again, extremely important as we move through the summer and look to again, open the new building.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Mrs. Love.
We seem to have two consistent themes of questioning. One of them is about clubs and activities that are going to be offered. And the other one, again, is about scheduling in terms of when the students are doing course selection or if they have already completed course selection.
Right. Let me talk to or speak to the course selection first. The course selection, again, it is a predetermined selection of courses for the most part outside of the music/exploratory elective option. So that is something that the students and families have not done yet. That is something that you will be getting within the next week or so. Again, we will be notifying you through email. We'll put that out through a Skyward blast and make sure that all parents and all students are aware that this is something that is coming to you. We're going to give you about a week to complete this. So again, we're going to hopefully give you some time to think about it, to discuss it with your child, what option they might want to take. And then after that is finalized, we will be able to release the course recommendations for each student. So each student will be able to see the course recommendations that are currently available to them or that they're slated to be scheduled for in the upcoming school year. And then at that time, myself, Mrs. Cheslock, and Mrs. Love, I'm sure will be extremely busy through email and phone calls because we will be scheduling your child, obviously, unless we hear, otherwise from you, the courses that they will see in Skyward. So if there is, if there is a discussion, if there's a course that again, you have a question about, or that you have a particular request that you want to make, then certainly reaching out to us during that time, would be the easiest way to go about that. Again, we're going to try to be as flexible as possible. We're not going to be rigid with scheduling, but we also have a deadline, for our schedule that we would like to have it run and be finalized so that we can get the final schedules to you. So, so a long-winded answer to say within the next week or so, be looking for a selection sheet coming home where your child will be able to select from the music option or the exploratory option.
There's been a couple questions about extracurriculars. Obviously, we do have WIPIAL sports that will remain for 7th and 8th graders only, but we have some non-sport options. I could speak for GMS. that will be coming to our one building. We have computer club, robotics, cooking club. There is a program that our 7th grade science teachers currently run. So there will be a lot of availability for some non-sports activities the kids can get involved in. We have student government. So we have a wide range of activities for students. Someone did ask about after-school programs providing transportation. At this point, we do not have an activity bus. That is something we can approach central administration about. Possibly looking into an activity bus. But at this point, at Gateway Middle School, we don't have that transportation.
And then Mr. Jack, somebody asked, what is the building going to be called for the 21-22 school year? GMS or MSMS?
For the upcoming school year, or when we move back to the new
21-22 for next year.
Okay, so for 21-22, it is our understanding as of right now that we are keeping the Mossad Middle School name. And again, we're keeping that name because of the current entity with the state. So how the state codes our building and keeps track of the students in our building, since it's already called Mossad Middle School. My understanding is that that will be the name that we keep. As far as, I think I saw a question as well, what the new building's name will be once we do move back after the renovations. That is something that, to my knowledge, has not been determined yet. So like I said, I can't unfortunately speak to that because, again, we're very excited about the move and about the possibilities, but truthfully, I think at least for the three of us, our main focus right now is being able to open the building in August and having a positive experience for the students that come in.
And I just wanted to add in, as we talked about clubs and activities and things of that nature, at Mossad right now, we have a very active FTO. And last night we had elections for some of the new positions that were available, but we still currently have one position available. And this would be open to anyone, any parent for a kid that has a child in 5, 6, 7, or 8. And it's a 7th and 8th grade executive liaison position. So this would be someone that would work with the clubs and groups that Ms. Cheslock just went over. And basically the FTO wants to provide some support to those organizations and also kind of work in conjunction with them. And just communicate with those clubs and organizations also to make sure that we're not overlapping any activities or fundraisers and things of that nature. So if you would be interested in that position, I'll put the FTO's email in the chat, and please feel free to reach out to them if you have an interest.
Okay, I did include some contact information here on this last slide. For those of us that are currently at Gateway Middle School, just as a reminder, the contact information from Mossad Middle School is the number that is currently on the screen. Again, I'm including this for June 14th and beyond. Obviously, we will be, again, at that new building, so that would be the best number to call, and then obviously have your call routed to one of the three of us on the administrative team to hopefully be able to answer your specific questions or concerns. Likewise, I've included our email addresses. We understand that even though we're quickly winding down the current school year, that obviously the presentation tonight and just the realization that we are moving forward with this project for next year is going to bring with it still a lot of parent questions. So we appreciate all of the questions that you had this evening. We also appreciate the fact that you will think of many more questions as you move forward, and we want to be able to address any and all of those. So again, please do not hesitate to email us at any time. Mrs. Love is currently at Mossad Middle School, and obviously Mrs. Cheslock and I at Gateway Middle School. So if you call us directly before June 14th, please just call those respective buildings, and we'll be more than happy to speak with you, again, about any questions or concerns you might have. We will stay on for a couple minutes if there are any more questions, but so that we do not forget to do so, we wanted to greatly thank each and every one of you that took time out of your evening this evening to join us. Again, I know it was a lot of information. I'm going to go back to that growth mindset. I know that this, might not be the ideal move for each and every one of you and or for your students as you think about it right now. But please understand that at no time, will the three of us not work tirelessly to make sure that, again, come August, this experience for, each of your children and every student that comes through Mossad will be, one that is positive and hopefully one that they remember, in their years going through Gateway. So again, thank you to everyone that joined us today. Again, we will stay on for a few minutes and answer some questions, but have a great evening. Have a great end to the school year, and please enjoy your summer.
Just a few other questions that are popping up. I'm not sure this number. Mr. Jack, do you know how many total students we're estimating to be in the building next year?
The estimate that we have currently is slightly over, it's probably about 1,050 students.
Thank you. And then another question about the double musics. I do ask that you reach out to someone on the administrative team. Yes, we can work with students doing, in your case, orchestra and choir at the same time, but that's going to be an individual scheduled discussion. So please feel free to reach out to us. But at this time, it does look like we did all the questions. Again, we really enjoyed spending the last hour or so with you, and our emails and our phone lines are always open. Reach out anytime, even if you think it's silly or you're confused. We'd be more than happy to go through any part of the presentation and provide you with as much information as we have.
Okay, well, again, thank you very much. Greatly appreciate your attendance this evening. Have a good evening.
Thank you.